proof today from the regulator that renewables are simply not cutting it. In the last quarter, the cost of power jumped over 20%, in part due to coal outages, but the big contributor was the drought in wind generation. In fact, in the April to June period, wind fell to just 12%, its lowest share of the mix since 2021. And you know what filled the void left by wind? Well, it was gas. Gas was up 70% in usage terms in the previous quarter. Interesting, isn't it? Joining me now, Environment Editor at The Australian, Graham Lloyd. Well, I want to say to both of us, well, if only they'd listened to us months and months and months ago, we might have been able to head this off. I mean, gas is doing the heavy lifting. Wind generation is failing us. We've got a government that wants to be 82% renewables in just 6 years' time, Graham. The system doesn't work now. How on earth is it going to work at that sort of ratio?
Yes, good evening, Peter. Well, the striking feature of the report, as you noted, was the fact that for all the hundreds of millions of dollars that have been spent on wind generation over the past years, the production of electricity from wind power fell to its lowest level since 2017 in the quarter. So what this shows is that a wind drought will cover a large area and wind electricity just won't be produced anywhere. So the authority said that gas is the magic ingredient to firm things up and keep them going. And you would hope that the government is starting to get the message. They issued some offshore gas exploration licences this week. That's only part of the solution. At the same time, the Greens have thrown up the balloon and saying they want to shut the gas industry we've got now and make it a key competition against Labor in the coming election. So there's a lot of heavy work to do, but the facts are on the ground. Wind power can fall short and gas is desperately needed.
In those statistics, there's two issues with wind. It's not just that the current farms there haven't got enough wind in the air to turn the turbines, but also that new wind farms are not coming online. We only had one in that period come online from South Australia. Rightly, you know, there's a lot of community opposition to these wind farms, but also that uptick in coal. Now, that's because we're obviously keeping Eraring going, but what happens in 2027 when we haven't got Eraring, and given that coal's 60% of our grid, when coal really starts to retire, what happens then?
Well, we're certainly eking things out with coal, and you're right, it is the mainstay of the electricity supply we have at the moment. So it's not a simple point of replacing this with renewables and then a bit of gas. It's actually a lot of gas to underpin things because it's going to have to replace a lot of the work that's being done by coal. And there's certainly no indication that the size of the challenge has really been understood, certainly not in a public sense.
We don't have a gas shortage issue in this country, though, Graham. We just have a gas supply issue. I mean, there's plenty of gas in the ground, but we've had successive state governments and federal governments hold back the development of gas. That's the problem.
Certainly, Victoria is running down the reserves that it's relied upon for a long period of time, and it's been absolutely against opening up any new resources. The same with New South Wales, where there's been a long-running dispute over gas supplies in the Pilliga, and companies have sunk many millions of dollars into proving these things up, but there's a regulatory roadblock that stops anything from happening.
Right. I made the point before about a lack of wind generation. There's more trouble for renewables, though. We learned today a Spanish contractor hired to build most of the $2.3 billion power cable that's running between South Australia and New South Wales. They're expected to completely walk away from this project. Now, this is the first major transmission project to be built on a wave of high voltage power lines. This doesn't bode well for the whole energy transition. I mean, this is everything that Chris Bowen is pinning his net zero future on. If we can't transmit the power, we haven't got power.
No, and this is emblematic of the problems more generally. The Spanish company that's involved was a junior partner in the project with Clough, which was the main contractor on Snowy 2.0. Clough went broke. They sort of lost their shirt on the Snowy project. They've pulled out of this one as a consequence, and the junior partner has basically been left saying it's unable technically to complete it, so it wants to walk away. It leaves an enormous mess for other companies who want to pick it up, the liability for the bit that's already been built. But it goes to show that these problems are being faced on all these major projects, and without them, the energy system is running perilously low.
Yep, it's a sorry tale, and the government deliberately has this as complex as it is. You have to sort of pick up all the stories and draw a picture to bring it all together, because they don't want Australians to know that this cheap renewables line is a lie. Graham, Lloyd, thank you.